The Dauntless. The simulation burns on. After dropping off the two police officers, the situation goes from bad to worse. Tactical avenues are closed off as the fires spread and buildings collapse. Alleyways and enemy forces alike are crushed under the burning debris, even as Squad Sergeant Davies struggles to keep his men out from under the danger. But they need to complete the mission, so they set out again. It's already awful. They lose 2 men to badly timed stumbles as a building comes down. He calls it in and things are sobering. The terrain is against them in every capacity. Narrow alleyways and roads with the towering structures around them falling apart. The men back at the base are struggling to keep the fire off and away from the building. The whole situation is going to absolute hell, and Davies orders people to move harder and faster. There's no prizes for being timid or scared. Screams rend the air and they have their directions. They move. A building begins to collapse and something explodes inside it. "Keep moving!" Davies roars in the lead as he puts on as much speed as he can. A heavily armed and psychotically grinning Canador peers around the corner at a normal height, meaning she's on all fours. Or rather 3 as she levels a plasma cannon at them. She gets a pincer crashing into the side of her face, a sting of the tail to the neck and a hail of bullets right into her open mouth as he breaks stride just long enough to slaughter her and then starts running again. The screams kick off again and everyone starts moving hard and fast. Everyone's pulling an axiom to reinforce their bodies and feed their muscles what they need to keep moving. 2 turns in the narrow streets and they emerge on a furious battle with plasma weaponry spraying streams rather than controlled bursts of armor melting pain. Well, that and the fire elementa certainly explain why everything's on fire, Davies mutters to himself. They hear a scream again, and this time it's coupled with a plead. "Someone help! We're trapped!" "Fuck, that's right past the crossfire," someone mentions. "Line up your shots. We're ripping them down and getting through this mess." Davies orders as he carefully lines up his own. Then a thought occurs to him. "Make sure you have secondary and tertiary targets. We might have bundled up on our targets." "Aim! Commit! Fire!" he orders out, and the blast of sounds and shearing wind erupts from Davies and his half squad as both sides of the firefight are torn into. But they're not all downed. The squad dodges the return fire as best as they can, but another soldier is dropped by the fire. The firefight is fast and brutal, and there are several more near misses with the plasma. The sheer baking heat of the area is allowing the plasma to travel faster and longer than normal. "Keep going!" They make a quick grab for other weapons and stock up a little further. The building is coming down and there's another scream, a wordless call of despair as the conflagration seems to grow stronger. "Do not stop!" he orders and boots down the door before rushing in. He can't feel pain, but he can feel fire licking at him as he rushes into an inferno. Across the darkened and ignored rooftops, Moriarty casually strolls at this pace. He has a few contacts more than he expected tonight, and now it's mostly victory laps and first-hand observation. Yes, he has numerous cameras and recording devices in the area, but they always pale in comparison to the raw experience of a first-hand fight. It's very clinical and clean when it's video footage, but there are so many little details that are lost. One of the more interesting, if predictable, things he runs across is an entire gang using the cobbled turrets with prosthetics and laser rifles is holding firm. Holding so firm that a few ladies have climbed up several buildings, some scaling the walls and others going through internal stairwells and elevators to try and outflank the entire thing. Which means that there's a lot of attention on the rooftops. His reflexive cloaking allows him to easily avoid fire even as other, more clever women with their utterly basic grasp of tactics and maneuvering are shot. He should have taken more of these things out of circulation in hindsight. They're allowing this gang far too much territory control. He wants them desperate and taking heavy casualties. Best case scenario, all these imbecilic circles of petty criminals and thugs end up with so many holes he can casually saunter from one to another and fill the gaps while slowly taking control. But of course, best case scenario rarely, if ever, happens, not unless it's forced at any rate. As another woman is down near him, he nods to himself and quickly frisks the still toasty corpse. She has exactly what he needs, a pair of laser pistols. He teleports from one roof to another as he fiddles with the internal mechanisms of the weapons. It takes only a few modifications to have a laser or plasma weapon drawn in axiom without end. The end result? A bomb. A plasma weapon turned explosive is generally much more visually exciting, but a laser weapon has a nearly invisible thermal blast that can cause spontaneous explosions on any nearby fluids, even internal ones, turning a person into a shrapnel steam bomb. It's a fast but gory way to die. Emphasis on gory. So, brutal for a person, but it also deals an enormous amount of damage to machines. Damage that mimics catastrophic containment failure on the weapons. He teleports down, still cloaked and behind the turrets. Over the din of combat, he tosses the weapons close to the turrets and teleports out again, just in time to dodge a brutal swipe with a huge chunk of concrete with shards of sharp metal sticking out of it on a stick. And now there is a pacing, paranoid, and snorting Agila patrolling along the turrets. She misses the pistols on her first pass, but not her second. They should be just shy of failure, so he almost flinches as the massive woman outright detonates, followed by the nearest 6 turrets outright failing simultaneously. Forensically, it will require advanced techniques and technologies to determine what failed first, the turrets or the pistols. As both of them go down and all but 1 or 2 turrets die due to the massive damage the sudden heat detonation brings in as the area is flash-baked. There's a lull in the fighting, one that one of the remaining turrets thankfully neither respects nor even notices, which triggers the violence once again. Good. It's a pity that the big girl had to die, but it's no real loss. There are always more stupid and oversized fools ready and willing to be manipulated by a charismatic gang leader, or perhaps a debonair mastermind ready to sweep in and charm them into a more rewarding lifestyle. The violence sweeps over the area, and the gang that previously had an easy defensive advantage are pushed back with ease. He avoids the cheering girls who are praising their good luck that turrets were so shoddily made, and his hooves are quickly onto another roof. He almost finds himself whistling. Ah, perfect. It works just perfectly. The gang is chased into their safe house and find it under siege in seconds. Time for a little Carib-made miracle. Time to force a debt. "You're not going to survive this," he remarks after teleporting in. He partially drops his cloak, only allowing his general frame to be seen, but he pays attention to hide all the points on his antlers. This way he appears to be an almost invisible figure with a pair of sweeping horns. "Who the hell are you?" "I'm your best chance," he remarks as he pulls out a small package of dried fruit strips and excludes them from the cloak. Casual, collected, calm, and in control. For all he appears, he is having an utterly normal day with nothing to concern him. "Who the fuck?" one of the surviving gang members demands. "Is now really a time for such things? You're losing ground," he says before teleporting away as a plasma blast screams for the wall he had been leaning against. He reappears opposite of it and takes a bite of the fruity treat, even as his previous position is reduced to a blasted char. "What do you want?" "Me? I want to help you," he says simply after finishing the first strip. Not his favorite meal, he prefers it a bit rougher, but still pleasant. "Then help us." "Oh no, you see, nothing is free, dear girl. If you're good at something, then get paid to do it." Moriarty returns. "So, the question is, what will you pay to survive today?" "You," the gangster says in a shocked tone. It would be such a pity to see a gang such as yours torn apart thanks to a terrible mechanical malfunction. A simple mistake is all it took to ruin you. Terrible luck, that. You've been watching. Of course I have, he answers. Who are you? The Horn Lord, he replies. Now, who wants a clean evacuation from this place? There are few Axiom adepts on this level, and without my help, you will not survive. His explanation is punctuated by numerous laser beams lancing into the building through the holes the plasma has made. What do you want? They demand. What do you offer? He returns calm in the face of their panic. Everything! One of the girls screams out as she ducks to avoid a blast of plasma. Everything? Very well then, he says, and his eyes openly glow as he focuses on the Axiom. The weapon fire outside peters off as the women scream. The surviving gangsters rush to the holes and windows to see what's happening to find the street clear. As agreed, you are safe for now, and now everything is mine. I will come to collect it when the time comes. What did you do? Now, my dear, a man must be allowed his secrets after all. I'm certain you'll figure it out if you're curious enough, he replies before stepping through the room. Now then, good luck rebuilding my base with my tools, and don't waste your lives. Those are mine as well now. He then ups the cloak as hard as he can to simulate a teleport away. Immediately, a fight breaks out against the stupid girl who sold them all in a panic, and after a swift and brutal beating, the girls start scheming right away at how to get rid of him. Perfect. He now has some utterly paranoid attack dogs that will strike out against any place he lures them to. There are living creatures in the building. They're forced to break through the blazing walls to carry them out, carrying the poor women and children out through the alleyways, and the road is suddenly filled with laser fire, and there are screams as the weighed-down soldiers dodge the fire as best as they can. But more men are lasered down, even as several bombs are launched into the area. 2 more men are dropped, and Davies manages to catch one to try and throw it back, but it detonates right in his face and he is out of the sim. He lands panting in a padded room, having been teleported out. Hell of a show, kiddo. Could have done better, though. Fucking how? The whole area was compromised. We had civilians to save and we're running blind. No getting pissy, kid. Go and sit and wait to see the results, the drill instructor says, and Davies takes a few deep breaths to calm down, even as some more of his men suddenly fall into the area around him. And that's a quarter of your forces. Sim over. You lose, the drill instructor says, and Squad Sergeant Davies sighs as he reaches for his rank insignia. Don't damage your uniform, boy. This was a no-win situation turned up to 11 and set on fire. Get into the waiting room and sit down. Yes, sir, Squad Sergeant Davies says as he walks into the room and begins his wait for the review on what happened. Hell, he needs to know what more he could have possibly done.